From relatively humble beginnings only a few years ago, the Simola Hillclimb in Knysna has turned into a big and international motorsport event. It hosts some very interesting cars, some very fast drivers, and some very exotic machinery, as you can see here. This is one of the cars that's going to be in action on the weekend of the 18th of May, and we've taken the opportunity to drive this car, get a sense of what it's like to be behind the wheel of one of these machines. The Ferrari under scrutiny here is a 360 Modena Challenge race car, a factory-built track version of the 360 Modena production model. It was originally created to compete in the one-make 360 Challenge racing series. This particular example isn't raced regularly, but instead is used by its corporate owner as a marketing tool at track days. However, like last year, it will be a popular attraction at the Simola Hillclimb. The clean lines of the 360's Pininfarina-styled coachwork make it one of the most attractive Ferraris of modern times. In racing trim, the 360 crouches even lower on the tar than the standard version, while the black finished alloy rims are fitted with racing slicks. Other external clues to the car's motorsport heritage include the large rear wing and the pronounced rear diffuser, together with details such as the fast-fill fuel slot and the quick-release fasteners for the engine cowling. In short, the Ferrari looks every inch the racing car that it is, and it sounds the part too. We chatted to Rob Scott, the lucky driver of the Ferrari, to find out more about the 360 Challenge and about his hill climb ambitions. Rob, this is a 360 Challenge. How does it compare to the normal road car?
Well, the car is a lot lighter than the normal road car. You know, it doesn't have the cats and the exhaust straight through. But other than that, it's pretty much the same motor.
And obviously rear-wheel drive, gearbox.
It's the F1 box,
yes.
Paddle shift system. Works quite nicely on the cars. It's not the dual clutch, but it's still very nice.
The 3.6-litre V8 employs 5 valves per cylinder and is rated at 306 kilowatts, together with a torque peak of 388 newton meters. The gearbox is a robotized 6-speed manual using an electronically controlled actuator. Shift paddles on either side of the steering column allow up and down shifts, while the electronics even blip the throttle on downshifts. Gear changes are quicker and more percussive than on the standard car, in line with its racing application. The Ferrari will be one of the crowd favourites at this year's Simola Hillclimb. We asked Rob what it's like competing in the event.
It's an awesome event. It's just very well planned, good bunch of guys, just a nice atmosphere, nice place to be.
The only place I wanted to be at that moment was in the left-hand drive cockpit of the Ferrari. Once strapped into the bucket seat, it was simply a matter of flicking the ignition switch and pushing the start button to wake up the high-revving V8 for a few laps around the Midval racing circuit. Obviously, the track environment is quite different to the do-or-die action on the hill climb, but the experience did provide some insight into the sheer urge and responsiveness of the 360 Challenge. And besides, this has to be one of the best-sounding race cars around, even from behind the wheel. If you thought this Ferrari looked spectacular and sounded even more spectacular, you should try driving the thing. It is absolutely fantastic around the circuit. Obviously, this car is set up particularly for track work, so it has the lower suspension, it has the slick tires, and obviously a roll cage. A little bit lighter than the standard car, but so responsive and so crisp on the throttle that it's absolutely fantastic to drive. The turn-in, actually, interestingly enough, quite a bit of understeer. You would have thought with this car it would be tail happy, quite the opposite, probably been set up to be a little bit more lenient towards the driver, but I have to say I could spend the entire day driving this car, and I think that taking it up the hill climb will be quite spectacular. For Rob and the HAB team, one of the main challenges at the Renault Simola Hillclimb will be to get the slick tyres up to temperature. In a track environment, it takes a lap or so before the tyres are hot enough to provide vital grip, but at the hill climb there are no warm-up laps. Rob hopes to use tyre warmers, which are like powerful electric blankets that heat the tyres to around 90 degrees or so, which should ensure decent grip from the word go. The interior of the Ferrari isn't nearly as plush as the road-going version, with the emphasis very much on race car functionality and safety, of course. Lightweight bucket seats, carbon fibre finishes and an LCD display are the key components, together with racing harnesses and a roll cage. In other words, it's the perfect office for a high-performance racing machine such as this. If motorsport action and fast cars are your game, there's only one place to be, of course, the Renault Simola Hillclimb in Knysna, running on the 19th and 20th of May. It is going to feature cars like this one, 360 Modena Challenger, as well as a whole bunch of GTRs and a number of other very, very fast machines, some international drivers, and it really promises to be the best hill climb to date. A high-revving V8 provides huge lashings of power and torque, ensuring that the Go matches the sports car looks of one of Ferrari's most handsome designs. Even in race-focused challenge guys, this is still an ultra-desirable machine, but the stripped-out cockpit means that luxury and refinement are in short supply. Thousands of spectators gathered in Knysna this past weekend for the 2012 Renault Simola Hillclimb. The 2012 event attracted a diverse list of entries, including exotics such as the all-new McLaren MP412C, Ferrari's 458 Italia, several Porsche 911s and a Lamborghini Gallardo. Renault's brand new Megane RS Trophy made its public debut at the event and promptly won its class in the hands of multiple motorsport champion Dion Joubert. But gunning for King of the Hill honours were a pack of highly modified Nissan GTR and Skyline GTRs led by 2011 winner Wilhelm Barth, but also including local heroes Des and Jade Goodsite, Jackie Schechter and Darren Goodmans. Another tipped contender was the Mitsubishi Lancer EVA of racing and rallying legend Jeff Mortimer, who won in 2010. However, it was Jade Goodsite who managed to keep it on the black stuff and tame the hill in an almost unbelievable time of 41.933 seconds. Even more incredible was that Goodsite Senior took second place with a time of 41.945 seconds, a mere 100th of a second behind his son. Third place belonged to Jackie Schechter, another 1/10 further back. RPM TV will be featuring a full report on the Renault Simola Hillclimb in next week's show.
The annual Renault Simola Hillclimb has become one of South Africa's premier motorsport events, attracting entries from all corners of the country. For spectators, it's a unique opportunity to savour some of the garden route's most beautiful scenery while enjoying the sights and sounds of high-performance machines being pushed to their limits. The Hillclimb attracts professionals and amateur racers competing in anything from bog-standard production models to highly modified street machines and even glamorous exotics. Everybody has exactly the same objective: to race up Simola Hill as quickly as possible. Hillclimb organiser Ian Shrewsbury says the event is important to Knysna and its community.
The event's grown very nicely over the 4 years, and Renault supporting us once again is fantastic. It's allowed us to lift the event to another level once again. Last year we had 7,500 people here, and we're hoping for 10,000 this year. It's very important for the economy of Knysna, and that's what this event's all about. We started it with the purpose of bringing people to town because of the economy, and we need, in quiet periods, we need people to come to town.
While the field of 70-odd entries is divided into a number of classes, the big attraction is the King of the Hill contest, which sees the top 10 fastest cars competing in a sudden death shootout for overall honours. Last year, ex-racing driver turned motor dealer Wilhelm Barth was crowned King of the Hill after some spectacular performances at the wheel of his luminous green Nissan GTR.
The competition is hot, and everybody's got new toys and upgraded toys from last year.
Barth's GTR shed its bright colours for a rather more subdued silver, but there was nothing subdued about its performance. Another early favourite was 2010 King of the Hill winner Jeff Mortimer.
Well, I think you'll find this year that the times are going to be quicker than they were last year. Jade Goodscience, I believe, is in a 1,000 horsepower league. So that's quite a lot of horsepower to handle up a hill.
It sucks finishing second, so I suppose we almost try finish first and try win.
Goodsight's main rival for victory, however, would be his dad, Des, in an equally wicked Skyline GTR.
Unfortunately, you know, they're a bit bigger than me, my sons now, and team orders used to be the signs at the times, but no more. I can see Jake, he doesn't want to let me win. He wants to win it, I want to win as well.
While it's easy to consider the hill climb as a social event, it can be treacherous, as several competitors found out this year. Unlike a racing circuit, the hill climb route offers no runoff areas, and if you get it wrong, the result is usually a trip back down to the pits on the back of a flatbed truck. The emergency medical services were always on full alert, but there weren't any injuries, if you ignore the dented egos, that is. Even hotshots like race and rally ace Gugu Zulu can get it wrong sometimes. Classic Car Friday was one of the novelties of the 2012 Renault Hill Climb and attracted an impressive field of old-timers. Some of the classic sports cars showed a fair turn of speed up the hill despite the rainy, cold and windy conditions. We'll have a separate report on Classic Car Friday in next week's episode of RPM TV.
Renault South Africa not only sponsored the hill climb, but was also a major participant. The A1 class was dominated by a pack of current and previous generation Renault Megane RS hatchbacks, some entered by the ever-enthusiastic members of the Renault Sport Club. In addition, Renault chose to debut the all-new limited edition Megane RS Trophy at the hill climb. No less than 5 of these potent but street-legal 195 kilowatt super hatches competed in the event. Also racing in Renaults were 3 radio personalities invited to compete in a so-called DJ Challenge. Algoa FM's Lance du Plessis was up against DJ Ready D from Radio Good Hope, with Jacaranda FM's A-Rod the third protagonist. Du Plessis kept the local crowds happy with some quick times to set the early pace.
The Renault Simola Hillclimb runs over 2 days, with entrants initially participating in several practice rounds in order to familiarize themselves with the route and the track conditions. Each run is timed using a highly accurate transponder system. The 4 practice runs are followed by 7 qualifying runs, after which a class final determines the winners in each of the 15 classes. The classes allow similar vehicles to compete against each other rather than just having to contend for overall honours. However, there's no doubt that the King of the Hill title is the prize the top guns are after. From the outset, the top slots on the timing boards were dominated by the Nissan GTRs and the older Skyline GTRs. Variety is another hill climb highlight. Where else would you see a classic Formula Ford, a Ferrari 458 Italia and a mean Porsche GT3 racing up the same hill? At the sharp end of the field, Bart's global Nissan GTR was setting the fast times, but the Goodsights were up to the challenge.
We were running standard rubber up to now, but we are going to try slicks for the next run.
While Bart and his rivals were pondering tyre choices, Jeff Goddard was looking swift and smooth in the K Eddy Group N BMW 325IS. It was only one of a bevy of unusual machines, ranging from Jacques Bauer's rapid little Ford Escort to the fast and furious Honda Civic of Owen Bridger, sounding red hot with the Yamaha-powered Legends single-seaters. Paul Griffin's Alpha GTA looked the hill climb part, while the Honda-powered Atom Track Day Special was setting some impressive times. For Subaru fans, there was lots of eye candy, including this STI driven by Tyrone Davis. Willie Stunder's Opel Kadett looked handy, while the turbocharged Bantam Bucky of Peter Collings was a real crowd pleaser. Decked out in motorsport colours, the BMW 1 Series M Coupe looked the business and was pretty fast too. With the qualifying runs completed and local pilot Harry de Villiers entertaining the crowds, an uneasy lull reigned in the pits as the drivers and their teams pondered last-minute strategies. Defending champion Bart, however, had retired his GTR with a damaged gearbox, leaving the tussle for the top to the Goodsights. One of the draw cards at the hill climb was the all-new McLaren MP412C, driven here by Chad Wenzel. The supercar is still a rare sight in South Africa, but 2 examples entered the event. Porsche was another mark in attendance, with the Rob Scott 911 Turbo looking particularly menacing.
For sports car lovers, there was no shortage of attractions, including the Chev-powered Ultima, a Lotus Exige SC, a mean-looking Chev Corvette, and a beautiful Porsche 917 replica. The bright blue Jag XKRS was a real crowd pleaser, although it was outpaced by the McLaren. The Ferrari 458 Italia sounded better than the MP412C, but it was marginally slower, while the Lamborghini Gallardo added further glamour. Arguably one of the fastest Mercedes cars in South Africa is this DTM-style AMG sedan, driven by Tuco Mechanicos and said to be good for more than 500 kilowatts. With the class winners determined, all that remained was for the battle of the King of the Hill honours. The good sights looked like the team to beat, and the skylines of Jade and Des were looking dangerously close to the limit. Behind them, the more modern GTRs were squabbling too. Des Parton, sharing a car with Jackie Schechter, was on the ragged edge, while Quinsley Sale was another rapid GTR pilot. Schechter looked like the only real rival to the good sights, but was still some way off the pace of the 2 monster skylines.
It's a monster of a car, and so it gets used for special occasions only. So yeah, this is one of those occasions.
By now, the chase for the King of the Hill title had become very much a 2-horse race, with the added spice of the father-son rivalry. In the cool weather, the times continued to tumble, with the sub-42-second run now seemingly within reach.
We've come out in forces here, you know, Jade, my son, and Shane, my youngest son, and myself. We bought 3 strong cars here this year, and we knew that we had fierce competition, and as you can see from the results, for the whole of the day, the competition has been very fierce.
Last year, Willem was here, and it was a fight between myself and him and Jeff and my dad, but this year, unfortunately, Willem's car is broken, so yeah, it's the battle of the good sides, I suppose.
Getting off the mark cleanly is one of the keys to a fast hill climb time, and both Jade and Des had it down pat, slingshotting off the mark in an arresting display of raw power and traction. Only fractions of a second separating the 2, both father and son, who were at the ragged edge. Behind them, the battle of the GTRs was still raging unabated. Greg Parton was looking good, but couldn't do enough to stop a very rapid Darren Goodmans, also in a GTR. Schechter was keeping the good sights honest, but just couldn't break through the 42-second barrier and had to settle for 3rd. The battle went down to the wire, with Jade eventually a mere 100th of a second quicker than Des. It couldn't have been closer in the movies, and the crowds roared their approval. In the all-Renault A1 class, Cape Townian racer Dion Joubert piloted the new Megane RS trophy to a class victory, with trophies also occupying the next 3 slots. SA car fan scribe Scott Hayes was second, followed by Star Motoring's Jesse Adams. In the DJ Challenge, Algoa FM's Lance Duplessis kept his rivals at bay to set the fastest time, also in a Renault Megane RS.
Guys have put a lot of effort into it since last year. I think it signifies what the event's become. You know, the King of the Hill title is becoming sought after in South African motorsport, and the guys are putting a lot into their cars, a lot into their driving, and they really want it.
The good sides made it an all-family affair at the top of the board, with Jackie Schechter the best of the chasing GTR pack. Former winner Mortimer finished in 8th, with local hero Mechanicos rounding off the top 10.
Last week we brought you all the modern car action from the Renault Simola Hillclimb, but for those with an appetite for old world charm, the Hillclimb also hosted a separate event for classic cars. Making the day more interesting and more challenging for these magnificent machines and their intrepid drivers was the wet, cold and windy conditions. First of the 30-odd cars entered to brave the conditions was Gino Noli in a pristine and noisy 1937 DKW F7 Meisterklasse Cabriolet. Tony McEwen's beautifully preserved 1929 Bentley 4.5 litre was one of 2 Bentleys on the entry list and took to the hill with measured dignity. Charles Goodman was behind the wheel of this Bentley Blower Special and wasted no time to show off the British brand's proud sporting heritage, even in the wet. The bright yellow 1963 Lotus 23, piloted here by Di Dugmore, looked the racing car part as it headed up the hill. Hot on her heels was Dave Alexander in his historic 1965 LDS Formula One car. A crowd favourite was this pristine Jaguar E-Type 4.2, driven with enthusiasm by Ron Hollis. Clive Winterstein's beautiful 1957 Porsche 356A wasn't at all intimidated by the rain. Mervyn Corbishley's race-prepped MGA looked handy off the line, while Anton Rolino's 1967 MGB GT benefited from Rover V8 power. The 1959 MGA twin cam of Christopher Champion was another of the 6 MG entries that entertained the Classic Car Friday crowd. Pat Clow put the canvas hood of his 1969 MGB Roadster to good use.